Okay, Pops, we are back. I've got some people behind me. Do you think they know what's going on in the new car market? Because there's a chip shortage and we got an update, don't we?
Well, truth of the matter is, if I may be so bold,
Be bold.
we are beyond chip shortage, and we are into a full blown crisis when it comes to the chips for automobile manufacturers.
Should I go tell
And
these guys? Like, should I tell them we've moved beyond?
why do you want to ruin their day? Let them find out later when they're looking for a car.
Why don't we hop into the numbers, Dad? It is staggering what has been
Yes.
going on in the market. And we do every single week for, like, I don't know, a year now. We've been bringing up the
Well,
numbers.
it's not a year, but it's been since I think late December or early January
Yeah.
that we started talking about the chip shortage and how it was going to impact the industry. God bless us. We're not right about too many things.
Yeah.
But we have been on this chip shortage like stink on poop. It is. We've been on it for months. That what we were hearing really wasn't the truth from the various manufacturers, that it was going to be worse than what they were saying it was going to be. And today's numbers that came out suggest that we were right, and the public has been misled for 8 or 9 months now.
Yeah, so it's from Auto Forecast Solutions. As you've seen, we pull these numbers from them pretty much weekly. We talk about this back on the
Yes.
YA Community Forum all the time. The subheading to the lead here is the projection is up nearly 55% from Auto Forecast Solutions estimate 2 months ago. So if you've been following along at home, you know that last week we were up to, what was it, 8.4 million vehicles that were expected to be lost from production?
Was it 8.4 or 8 point? It was the first week where the anticipated loss surpassed 8 million.
Correct. And now this week we are up to 9.4 million vehicles expected to be lost from production as a result of the semiconductor shortage. That is a huge increase week over week. And honestly, can't be too terribly surprising because some of the headlines we saw from Toyota, Honda, some of the other manufacturers, like there's a lot of bad news coming out, not a lot of good news.
Yes, and I think if you look at the numbers, and the numbers are up 880,000 units week over week lost that are projected to be lost to production. So we're up to over 8 million confirmed production losses, and the estimation is that it'll ultimately end up at 9.4 million. Now, when they were saying it was 4.5, 5 million, we were saying back then that we thought it was going to be in the 8 to 9 million range. Well, if they're now projecting 9.5 million almost, I wouldn't be surprised that it crosses the 10 million barrier for lost production. Now, just in the domestic market for the United States, I mean, they're talking about, what is it, 2.8 or 2.9?
Up to
2.9
nearly
million.
3 million at this point, yeah.
Yes. So if you take 3 million cars out of the marketplace that were supposed to have been in the marketplace, that does two things. A, it creates an even more urgent shortage of vehicles for people to buy. Mm-hmm. So there's less availability to satisfy the demand that's out there. And two, it's going to, which will mean higher prices for customers, number one.
As we've seen.
And two, it's going to negatively impact the number of days supply that dealerships have on their lots. And the day supply of cars is what is the number of days it takes them to sell at their average daily sales rate. So we have some numbers that are only going to get uglier and uglier as we move through the fourth quarter of this year.
Although it is interesting, we've seen like a pretty like significant uptick in inventory levels at Ford month over month. So, for example, their day supply of inventory went from 35 to 43. We know last month nationwide Ford had about 155,000 vehicles in inventory. This month they've got 202,000 vehicles in inventory. But other brands, for example, like Honda and Toyota, they have drastically reduced inventory levels, which the reason I say drastically reduced is because, maybe you could speak to this a bit more, Dad. Typically, inventory levels don't go in reverse. Like, typically, they're either maintaining or they're increasing. Like, when they're moving in reverse, that would either imply that a lot of vehicles are being sold really quickly, or that they're having manufacturing issues. And we know, obviously, right now, it's manufacturing issues. The sales rate on vehicles is like going down quickly as well. Seasonally adjusted annual retail numbers are expected to be 13 million new vehicles instead of what was originally anticipated, 18 million. And that in part speaks to what you're saying. You take 3 million vehicles out of the US market, you take 9 million vehicles out of the global market, you see prices go up, and you see consumers eventually voting with their pocketbooks and their wallets and saying, all right, I'm out of here. So the
Yes.
day supply inventory, the day supply of inventory data is like fascinating, and it's also like I guess a leading indicator of the issues that we're seeing on the chip shortage side.
Well, absolutely. And when you see like numbers for American Honda where they have a 21-day supply of cars, well, typically they would have wanted to be around a 60-day supply of cars. So they are at a third of what their normal supply would have looked like. And if we can do some future forecasting based on the 880,000 units that were just announced that are going to be lost in the last week, that number's only going to go down.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only way it might go up, that is because day supply, right? Day supply is a measure of the sales rate of vehicles versus the amount of inventory. So in theory, the day's supply of inventory could actually go up if the sales rate continues to go down. But yeah, you're right.
If enough people stop buying cars.
Yeah.
That's the key. Enough people have to stop buying cars for the day supply of vehicles to go up. However, having said that, we have had a couple of natural disasters in the last couple of weeks that will impact the amount of cars that are going to need to be replaced by consumers. From Hurricane Ida, when the hurricane struck the Louisiana coast, and as it made its way up through the mid-Atlantic states in the Northeast, there are a huge number of vehicles that were flooded and destroyed and will need to be replaced, so that storm is bringing more people into the marketplace to buy the fewer cars that are already out there. And here's the real challenge. If they stay even at this lower average daily sales rate, they won't be able to produce the cars to even replace all those cars that are being sold if they just lost nearly 900,000 production units. It's only going to get worse.
To help put into perspective what 900,000 lost units in production means, let's look again at the data sheet here. A brand like Mazda. When you say Mazda, you think, wow, yeah, I see a ton of Mazdas on the road. There are currently, in the United States of America, as of the month of September, only 14,600 Mazdas for sale. Period. Hard stop. We're talking about 900 new ones, yes.
Yes.
We're talking about 900,000, not just Mazdas, but all makes out of production. Just not coming into the ether.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, okay, that out of that 900,000, 9,000 would have been Mazdas.
So 1%. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yes. Okay. Or okay, let's say it was only 0.5%, that it was 4,500 Mazdas that would have been built for consumption this month in the United States. Okay, and if they sell at their normal rate, they're going to sell more than 4,500 units. So they can't even replace. They can't build them as fast as they're going to be selling them. because of that lost production. So it makes it harder for them to catch up and start getting ahead of the curve again when they're drastically behind. And I won't say every manufacturer, because Ford has proven that they're not as far behind the curve as some of the other manufacturers. But it's, when you look at the raw numbers, it's ugly. It is really, really ugly. And if I may, as a commenter said today, one of the problems is that the vehicles that are being built aren't necessarily the vehicles that the people wanted to buy.
I mean,
So,
if
you know-
you're a manufacturer and you have limited chip supply, limited capacity to produce vehicles, what are you going to produce? The most profitable vehicles you have. What are the most profitable vehicles you have? The ones that are fully loaded, specced out, to the T's, to the 10, to the
To the teeth.
to the teeth,
Yeah.
teed up to the ones that are
Whatever.
the most souped up. And so, I mean, if you try and find like a base model anything right now, it doesn't exist. New. And then heck,
Yes.
used, we'll do another used car market update sometime soon, but we're seeing prices start to go back up there as well. So I guess final
Yes.
question I have for you, Pops, for this particular video. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? And we had initially said months ago when Auto Forecast Solutions was suggesting that we're looking at 4 million vehicles lost to production, 3 million, 5 million. We said, nah, it's going to be 8 to 9. Well, we're over the 9 million threshold. Do you think it's
Yes.
going to be 8 to 9? Well, we already know it's over 9. Or do you think we need to revise even our estimations here for what in total is going to be lost to production? Putting you on the spot, but what do you think?
Okay. Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the number far exceeds 10 million, 10 and a half, 11 million lost to production. And I'm not convinced that the light at the end of the tunnel isn't an oncoming train. Okay, that everybody's about to get smacked by that Excella Amtrak train that's coming through that tunnel. It is. I don't see how this is going to resolve itself for another 12 to 18 months, honestly, if we keep losing this many cars to production. So, yeah, there's always light in the tunnel, whether it's at the end of the tunnel or it's oncoming. That we still have to wait and see.
That, my friends, is a mic drop. Thank you for that, Dan. Oh, and wear your seatbelts.
Yes, and a harness for when you get smacked.
Thanks, Dan.
Hope those aren't Takata airbags.
Oh, gosh.